So being red-pilled involves two things: swapping notes with other men and observing the world and adapting to it for your own benefit. This is something that nobody is telling you about, and it's damned important. Many men who are in a relationship get cheated on. Sometimes the girl was never into him, sometimes she wanted better, sometimes it was just something different and she wanted to know that she still could. Guys without options tend to take him back. Guys with options tend to kick him out and start again. This is something different, something deceptive, something that happens when you let emotions run the relationship. I'm talking about hysteric bonding, and I'm going to give you a story to describe the phenomenon. But first, where did this all come from? Well, take one of those cheating girls. Evolutionary psychologist Dr. David Buss had a theory from his 2016 paper on the mate switching hypothesis. Basically, instinctive behaviors from women exist that increase the success rate of trading up and overcoming the cost of leaving a relationship. This is why you see tons of videos of guys talking about girls having backup guys, orbiters, why girls can feel dissatisfaction in an otherwise perfectly fine relationship. All of it. All of it is hypothesized and designed to maximize a girl's options so she can pick among the best. But women aren't perfect. And in the same way guys' instinct for risk-taking behavior can be both attractive and life-threatening, so is a girl maximizing her options. Now, on to the story. She has an office husband, a real husband, an orbiter, a friend who's about to divorce his wife, or a pastor in the church. She rationalized in her head how she was never really in love with her husband, he's probably too controlling, and she needs to be happy with somebody else. This is called the light switch effect, by the way, and it's a whole other topic. Save it for another video. So she has an affair. The husband finds out, the separation proceedings get underway, and this is where hysteric bonding comes in. It may be hard to believe, but there are guys out there who promise to commit it to a girl, and then after she sleeps with him, find out that he lied to her. I know. What a world we live in. People lie. And this is where hysteric bonding comes in. In the same way that a girl just talked herself out of loving her husband and wanting something better, and that she's the victim and he's an asshole, she talked herself into thinking she made a mistake and she wants him back. If you've watched or read anything from Rollo Tomassi, I'm sure you've heard his quote, "The only agency a woman has is her sexuality." Well, this is a prime example of what that means. The girl becomes sexually aggressive. She starts sleeping with her soon-to-be ex-husband like she's going after a speed-running cowgirl record. A lot of guys who don't know what's going on start thinking, oh, they hit the mother load. Here their wife was convincing them that couples end up having less sex as they get older, convincing them that she has a low libido, and that twice a quarter was perfectly normal for couples. Then all of a sudden, a few whoopsie bangs later, and she turns into She-Ra, queen of the pole. He thinks he hit the jackpot. He forgives her because he's not thinking clearly with all the sex he's having, and they enjoy this idea of this amazing relationship for a little while. Eventually, though, things start to soon taper off, back to where they were before, and then a year later, back to the same old. If he's lucky, she's aged out of finding a pool boy. If he's not lucky, the cycle repeats. So what happened? Hysteric bonding. It's not a trick, it's not a strategy or a Machiavellian mind game. Girls aren't that clever. This is emotions personified. Now, I've said in other videos that anxiety can be a powerful aphrodisiac. In fact, the whole concept of dread game is kind of predicated upon that idea. And this is a double dose of triple strength anxiety. She had a safe, sensible man, and almost got a better, safe, sensible man until something happened and she's about to lose both. Telling a girl in her late 20s or mid 40s that she's about to enter the spinster phase in her Sex and the City lifestyle terrifies many girls. And so she doesn't know how to process that. Takes it out on hubby. And most guys, also stupid, led by their emotions, and so they fall for it. It's a wonderful way nature selects for monogamy, not necessarily for fairness or justice or happiness. Of course, in some of the worst examples of this, 9 months later, he gets the old, "Oh, I'm sure you're the father, I can just tell." Right. Just like your dealer swears it's 100% pure and definitely worth that price. So in my time in the red pill, I've seen probably a dozen different guys experience the same thing. Their girl steps out on the marriage or screws up something bad enough to make the guy start a divorce, and once the reality of that screw up and the lack of a safety net kicks in, so does their sex drive. I mean, at first the guys are confused. For a solid year, we were getting guys asking, like, has anybody else noticed this? Like, she couldn't stand me a month ago. And now it's like they have the antidote in my balls. And finally, we started to see the patterns. So, in a nutshell, that's hysteric bonding. The emotional anxiety of a girl about to screw up without a safety net using her one piece of agency to hold on to what she currently has. So here's the question, what do you do about that? And this is where being red-pilled actually means something. The answer is, what do you want? For most guys, not being taken advantage of or taken for granted is more important than getting a nut. Enjoy the high libido, continue on with the divorce plan, whatever. For other guys, their kids are maybe a year or two away from moving out, and they play the long game. I mean, it's pretty normal for any guy to refuse to forgive a cheating wife, but the separation works better when it's on your terms, your timeline, and not a rushed decision. I mean, it sounds cool to your drinking buddies to say, yeah, I kicked her out in the curb 15 seconds after you found out, but it doesn't sound so cool when your impulsiveness comes to bite you in the ass in the form of child support payments and being kicked out of your own house. Now, there's a rare guy who decides to keep her around and demote her to plate. He opens up the marriage on his side, they raise the kids together, they're married in name only. I'm not here to judge. The point is, the one thing you can't do here, and the one thing you can't do, is you can't let your little head and her squeaky voice convince you to do anything in your own best interest, because both of those things aren't in your best interest. Those decisions have to be yours, for your best interest, and your goals. I say it all the time, but you're the only guy who wipes your own ass every day. Maybe start treating that guy a little bit better. Now I know, it's really easy for a dude to say how tough he is and how he wouldn't put up with any of this stuff, but I dare you to put any one of those guys in a situation where he's getting blown 4 times a day and see how clearly he's thinking how tough he really is. I mean, guys sometimes forget, women aren't men. They don't have the same shame and dignity reflex that guys have. They don't worry about demeaning themselves to get their way. In fact, I'd say it's a big compliment. A girl has a will to power that a man will never have. It's called topping from the bottom. And if you're not ready for it, her tears and her sex drive and her sweet words and amazing performance will tame even the toughest alpha male into being her little pet. So I'll end on this. This is a common scenario that happens. Not all relationships have it, but the ones that do, they have it so predictably so that you're better off knowing, so that if it does happen to you, you're not the guy hearing, oh, I'm pregnant, it's definitely hers, I can just tell, and then thinking to yourself, oh, thank God, for a minute there, thought I was being taken advantage of. And don't forget, a lot of guys, the reason they fall for it is because of ego. They think to themselves that they did a couple workouts, they read Rational Male, and the girl's responding positively to it. In some cases, that's the case, but if you notice an abrupt change of behavior this sudden, this strong, and based on these kind of situations, chances are you're letting your ego drive the ship. So don't let that happen. Again, focus on your best interests, focus on not being taken advantage of, and plot out your life on your timeline to your standards. And don't buckle just because you're getting a nut.
I just don't know how it's going to happen anymore. And I've seen the patterns, and I've seen the fact that I don't see them having a lot of stability, and maybe I've been psyoped with all this stuff. Maybe they create an elaborate scheme to convince us. I don't know. But I only know what my heart feels. And my heart still feels like the best. The best is yet to come.
Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Feel free, subscribe, you know the deal. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.